I'm your cult boyfriend. Today, we're talking about the 50 best action movies of all time, according to Variety. I like action movies a lot. You know, I think action movies were really, they were a large part of my life growing up. This man right here, John McClane, was a huge part, huge part of my childhood. Die Hard 2, Die Harder, was the very first R-rated action movie I was ever allowed to watch. I don't know why he didn't start with the first one, but hey, I loved it. And of course, Kill Bill right here. Love that movie, and I'm assuming Enter the Dragon, but it's all good. My favorite action movies, well, Kill Bill, Volume 1, certainly is one of my favorite action films. Hard Boiled is probably number one. It has been for a long time. You watch Hard Boiled and you are exhausted at the end. It's just a remarkably made movie. Unbelievable action filmmaking. Hard Boiled is my number one. And if we got 50 here, I'm sure we're gonna see Hard Boiled and probably even The Killer. We'll get a decent amount of John Woo. I mean, I'd love to see Face Off and Mission Impossible 2 as well. Mission Impossible 2 underrated as fuck. Okay, Mission Impossible 2 is the greatest Mission Impossible movie. I don't know why I'm going on a Mission Impossible rant right now out of nowhere, but it's the best Mission Impossible movie because John Woo is the fucking king, and also Sandy Newton is a goddess, a fucking literal goddess. And I think that's Tom Cruise at his goddamn goofiest, all right? That said, I don't think it'll be on this list. But I love Mission Impossible too. Action movies are really interesting. They're just as interesting as horror movies. They're just as fascinating to engage with as any other genre. It's a genre that has its own tropes, its own archetypes, its own narrative systems, right? Action movies are really cool. Let's just run through this. I'm going to be hopefully brief because I don't want this to be too long. At number 50, we have The Spy Who Loved Me, which I do like. I don't hate James Bond at all. I think James Bond's fine. Not a huge James Bond fan, but I think this is my favorite Roger Moore movie. This or The Man with the Golden Gun. I do love Christopher Lee. But Jaws right there, that's the thing, because I think that the most interesting part of the action film is the action villain. Villains are so often my favorite characters. I guess maybe I just have a soft spot for villains in general. Villains are so often my favorite characters of everything. I'm not saying that to be edgy. I just find them really fascinating to engage with. And if you enjoy cinema, you enjoy what is cinematic, and that's what the villain provides. I mean, the villain provides the narrative. If there was no villain, there'd be no narrative. The villain provides obstacles for the hero to jump over and just push their way through in order to reach a character arc. Like the villain's job is simultaneously to provide the hero with an arc and also to try to prohibit him from achieving it. Like that's really cool. Uh, I normally cover teen drama. I normally cover teen film and television, and even then, the villains are just extraordinary. The villains provide the drama, whereas a villain in an action film provides the action. The villain in a horror film provides the horror. Like they're the most important and integral part of every genre are the villains, and Jaws is a very good villain. James Bond, I think, is a franchise with some outstanding villains. Got to be real on that. They got some good villains. Doctor No, Goldfinger, Odd Job. I just mentioned Christopher Lee and the Man with the Golden Gun. He was awesome too. I love the coke dealer in License to Kill, and I like his little henchman Benicio del Toro there too. Like I think License to Kill is really fucking great, guys. Even the newer ones, I don't Silva, whoever Javier Bardem played in Skyfall was a really good villain. Jaws is an excellent villain. And I think technically he's always a henchman too, so that's excellent. And forget who the woman was, who the Bond girl was in this. Barbara Bach. I think she was Ringo Starr's wife. Oh my God, 10 out of 10. I mean, it's a Bond movie, so all the girls should really be enough to knock your socks off. Top Gun Maverick, it works. It's a well-oiled machine, but I think it is absolute propaganda. The first one is propaganda as well. It doesn't mean it's a bad movie. It just means that it lacks both sincerity and it lacks deepness, right? Like I am not involved in the action of Top Gun because there's no humanity within the villain, right? The bad guys in the other fucking like fighter jets, they have these dark masks like on purpose so that you don't humanize them, so that they could just be that's like bowling pins, man. We just knock them over and not care about them because we don't see their eyes. We don't fucking humanize them. The Fugitive, I haven't watched it in a very long time. Like it's been too long. It's been so long that I can't really provide a good response for you. I can't really tell you exactly how I feel about it because I don't really remember it. Not really. Not really at all. Well, I remember like U.S. Marshals more, the sequel. I don't remember The Fugitive too well, but I'm sure it's fine. Vanishing Point I really like. It's an awesome car chase movie. Yeah, let's just do this fast. Hero. I never vibed with Hero. I never understood why people liked that movie, to be honest. Rambo: First Blood Part 2. It's actually my favorite Rambo movie. I think this one is just I think this one's just so cool. You know? And you can argue that Rambo's propaganda as well, but it's done right. Okay? It's fucking awesome. Hell yeah, American. Fucking love this movie. I love Rambo. I think I have like a controversial ranking of the Rambo movies. Part two is my favorite, and then I guess part four, just Rambo, is my second favorite. The one with Julie Benz in it, where fucking Rambo rips the guy's throat out, and it takes like 35 seconds to do, and you're like, holy shit. See, that's the opposite of Top Gun. I see his eyes like bulging out of his fucking skull. Right? It's really good. And then First Blood. I'm not thrilled about First Blood, then Last Blood, and three. Rambo 3 is one of the worst movies I've ever watched. It is so boring. It's so boring. Rambo First Blood Part 2 is a fucking banger, dude. Oh my god, it just went so far. Wow. But where was I? Okay, there we are. Sorry, everybody. The Day of the Jackal. God damn it. I can't use this computer. The Day of the Jackal. I I haven't watched it. I've seen The Jackal with Richard Gere and Bruce Willis. You know, that was something. The Bourne Identity. I always thought the Bourne movies were overrated. Never really vibed with them. Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. Absolutely love it. Who doesn't love Russ Meyer? Who doesn't love this movie? This movie's fucking awesome, dude. This is pure fucking cinema. I love Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. Like Death Proof could never. All right, Rob Zombie could never. Faster Pussycat Kill Kill is just oh my god. It's fucking great. It's so good. So good. I'm having fun with this video, by the way. You guys might not be, but I haven't thought about these movies in so long because I've been I've been very focused on teen film and television. So this is a nice kind of trip down memory lane. Because I was really into action movies when I was in junior high, probably. I think action would have been my favorite genre back then, which shouldn't speak to the maturity level of these films because I think that I think that most movies in general, are a lot more complicated than anyone gives them credit for, and action movies most certainly are a lot more complicated than a lot of people give them credit for. The Warriors is an excellent example. The Warriors is really good. I don't have much to say about it though. The Raid, it's fine. Duel, um, I'm not. I'm not that impressed by Duel. If Spielberg's name wasn't behind it, no one would give a fuck, right? Duel's not very good. I don't care. I see Mad Max mentioned here. Road Warrior is another one of my favorite action movies of all time. Road Warrior is, oh my god, outstanding. Fuck, fucking hell, dude. Road Warrior, that's top 10 quality. Inception, one of the most overrated films ever made. Remember when I just said that, like, most of these action movies are more complicated than films give them credit for? Christopher Nolan movies are the opposite of that. They're less complicated. People overcomplicate them. Christopher Nolan is actually an idiot. And Inception is a prime example of his idiocy. Inception is an excellent example of very stupid cinema that thinks it's hyper intelligent when it's actually just the dumbest, bro. Once Upon a Time in China, Part Two. This is Sui Hark. I think that Isabel had me watch a Sui Hark movie a long time ago called The Butterfly Murders. I didn't care for it. Maybe I'll like this one. Jet Li's cool. Who fucking knows, man? Who knows? Casino Royale. It's all right. It's all right. I think it's like long, you know. The parts that do work, I love Mads Mikkelsen being devious. I love Eva Green being sexy. Black Pirate, fucking Douglas Fairbanks made it to this list. Variety based as bro. My favorite Douglas Fairbanks movie is The Thief of Baghdad. Okay. But the Black Pirate's so cool. Oh my God. Douglas Fairbanks movie on a variety list. Yeah, everybody knows great action movies, man. Everybody, there's such a rich history to them. Douglas Fairbanks is like one of the fucking ultimate legends. Fucking God, dude. I need to devote the whole day to the Fast series because like I have a suspicion that I will fucking love them, you know, unironically. But that day has not come yet. So I've seen a couple of them, but I don't think I've seen Fast Five. Run Lola Run. I'm not into it. I am not into Run Lola Run and never was. Commando, fucking hell yeah. Commando's awesome. Fucking love Commando. I love that opening title sequence. It's little Alyssa Milano, right? That's who his daughter is, right? The opening title sequence of him being like the perfect dad, and it's just so fucking contrived and weird. But dude, it's such a good movie. It is so much fun, bro. Mando's awesome. My favorite Arnold movie, I think I was about to say without contest, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, but I really, really like Total Recall. I like Total Recall more and more and more and more over time. It's, I think, a really sophisticated film, but T2 is like the perfect blockbuster, so it is hard to compete there. Dirty Dozen is really good. It's really good. Not only do you have Bronson and Marvin, you have John Cassavetes playing a fucking psychopath in it. I like the Dirty Dozen. I like the whole setup of it as well. I like the premise of it, the idea of it. Ghost Protocol. This is a cool sequence, right? This is a cool sequence. I don't think Brad Bird's a good director. Period. The end. Like it's a to me, it's like a sterile movie. It feels sanitized. It feels a little boring. You know, what was interesting about Mission Impossible and why I only really like the first two, maybe two and a half of them. I like De Palma's first film and I like Woo's second film a lot. And I like the concept of J.J. Abrams making the third one. I don't necessarily like the final product, but it was like getting a different director each time, and you cannot tell me that like Mission Impossible 1 felt safe. It felt like a De Palma thriller still a lot of the time. You can't tell me that Mission Impossible 2 was safe. It was fucking John Woo doing his crazy fucking pyrotechnic acrobatics, bro, like kinetic magic, bro. Uh, those two were not safe. But then 3, J.J. Abrams, it somehow the films start to feel more uniform, more like assembly made. They kind of lacked character, and I think Brad Bird is like very boring kind of director. I think that action shouldn't be boring, and the villain of this was awful, right? Like nowhere near the level of a John Voight or Emmanuel Bert. Is that who that was? She was gorgeous in the first film. Emmanuel Bert, I think her name was. That's at least how it is phonetically. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but that's close to it. Foxy Brown. This is a good list. Or maybe action movies are just fucking great, right? Foxy Brown's awesome. Pam Grier, love you to death. Foxy Brown rules. Fury Road, I thought was an excellent film. I was shocked that George Miller had that kind of energy, and that kind of enthusiasm. And yeah, I loved basically every minute of it. I thought it was exhilarating. Did its job wonderfully. I mean, I think it exceeded in its task. I think it's really inventive. I think that it's just God, so badass. So badass, bro. Like it's so cool. It's a really cool movie. Police Story. I like it a lot. I actually wanted to cover Police Story on my channel. I just never got around to it. Like the opportunity never came up. But I remember a long time ago I wanted to talk about Police Story, but that didn't end up happening. Point Break. Oh my God. I have a video on Point Break though. I love Point Break. Point Break is awesome. Catherine Bigelow rules. I like that we're having this kind of cool discussion about enlightenment and like the annihilation of self with I guess justice and conformity and capitalism. I love that they dress up as presidents when they rob banks. I love the imagery of it. The ex-presidents. I love the imagery of it. I think it's an excellent film. Very, very good. United 93? Get the fuck you. Fuck off. At 25? Fuck you. It may sound disingenuous or insensitive to call Paul Greengrass's great docudrama about the hijacking of United Airlines flight by Al Qaeda terrorists on September 11th, 2001, an action film. Yet part of the movie's revelatory power is that one. It immerses us in what a truthful and profound experience an action movie can be. Oh my God, Boomer, log off, Boomer. Dude, stop. Stop with all that. No, United 93 shouldn't be here. This is such a weird fucking pull. This is such a weird pull. Come on. Come on. Honestly, I think it's insensitive for the film to have been made, and I think it's disingenuous for it to be included on this list. And just because you say those two words at the beginning doesn't mean it's not true of this inclusion. This is so dumb. Assault on Precinct 13's okay. I never thought too much of it. I like John Carpenter a lot. I don't really like that one too much. I think Gladiator's dope. I have no complaints with Gladiator, especially when I care so much about villains. And I think Joaquin Phoenix as Commodus is just boy, get institutionalized, man. Wow, Joaquin was that's actually my favorite Joaquin Phoenix performance. I like it more than any other that I've seen. I thought he was just so disturbed, and it felt so so sincere and genuine. I was I remember even as a child thinking that someone should do a wellness check on this actor because he disturbed the fuck out of me. This came out when I was 10. That was the first time I saw it. He was so disturbing. Made me feel so uncomfortable because I would put myself in the position of Lucius, obviously. That's what you do when you're a child watching certain movies. You put yourself in the position of the child very often, more times than not. That's what you do. And he was very creepy around him. He's very creepy around everybody. Often often an action movie is only as good as its villain, and Gladiator has a superb one, which makes it, I think, a rather superior action film. Ridley Scott did excellently here. Wonderful, wonderful direction. And Russell Crowe's great too. Every time that I praise the villains, just remember that the hero, the actor who's playing the hero, and the character of the hero himself has to match, or else it's completely uneven. Or else you get a Batman situation where no one gives a fuck about Batman. All they want to see is the Joker, essentially. Whereas Gladiator, love Russell Crowe. I love Joaquin Phoenix. They're both excellent in the film. Wages of Fear. The only Clouseau film I really admire is La Verite, his Brigitte Bardot film. I don't care about the Wages of Fear, so we're gonna move past that. Clouseau was a fucking bastard. Heat is excellent. I see it on a lot of action movies lists. I think it's more at home on a crime list within the crime genre. As an action movie, what we're seeing right here, that's the action scene, right? Like that's the major set piece of the film. And it's very good, but it's not what I think about when I think of Heat. When I think of Heat, I think of the diner. I think of a fucking conversation between Pacino and De Niro. When I think of Heat, I think of Val Kilmer and Ashley Judd, and I don't want to go into any spoilers, really. I think of the quieter moments, which is what the film's mostly made of, or I think of the color blue. I think of Michael Mann's unique vision of blue, how he bathes his cityscapes and his characters within blue. I think of the discussion it has about the cosmically pessimistic relationship that crime and justice holds in perpetuity. I think about that stuff. I don't really think it's an action movie, but it's a fucking phenomenal, a masterful movie. So I won't argue with it appearing anywhere on any list. It's just since it's not pure action movie, it's like at 21. Whereas if this was like a best crime movies list, I would think that Heat would be top 10. Like it's a film of like pristine quality. It's basically a perfect crime epic. But if we're using it as an action film, it's not the best action film ever. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. No, I don't like Ang Lee. Ang Lee is a bad director. I will not hear any arguments to the contrary. And Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is just not good. Watch it again, everybody. It's just a terrible movie. Overcomposition. It's dumb. It's like someone not understanding why The Matrix was popular. The Wild Bunch. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. This movie is a masterpiece. Sam Peckinpah. You are insane. Like this movie actually wants to inflict damage on the viewer. Like Peckinpah edited it in that way. There are cuts within the final shootout that are invisible to the naked eye. There's no reason for Peckinpah to have cut it that way except to inflict subliminal damage. Like it is a film that the action can't be contained within, right? The action, they will shoot you too. William Holden will fucking shoot you. Ernest Borgnine will shoot you between your fucking eyes, bro. Like, Wild Bunch is great, and you want to talk about cosmic pessimism, nihilism, the end of masculinity itself, and the pathetic fight that it puts on to the death. Wild Bunch. It's art. That's true fucking art. I love the Wild Bunch. I have a video on that one as well. Years and years and years old when I was a lot more self-serious. And even more insufferable, if you can believe that. Nope, nope, no Ben-Hur. No, skip that. Don't like it. What? Why is T2 at number 17? What are you talking about? T2. I was anticipating T2 being top 5. It's a perfectly made action movie. I don't care. Perfectly made blockbuster action movie. Should be top 5. Being 17 is kind of a travesty, and it's fucking weird. It's fucking weird that it's at 17, which doesn't sound low, but it's Terminator fucking 2. What? Variety, get your head checked right now. Terminator 2 is excellent. Look, this is what I'm talking about when you have a perfect villain and a perfect hero. I have a well, I don't have a video dedicated solely to P2, but I do have a very long video where I discuss the entire career of James Cameron. And there's a lot of interesting things going on in T2. I love the film. Sarah Connor, come on, guys. Sarah Connor, that's where she becomes completely heroic, and I think overtakes Arnie as the most gripping protagonist of the piece, which makes T2 for me simply a better film than Terminator 1. I like women characters. I like women heroes and women villains so much. So T2, yeah, love that. 16, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Like action's not necessarily all encompassing. Like we have to respect the Western genre as its own autonomous thing, right? Or else you get the good, the bad, and the ugly appearing on a list at number 16, and it's just as dumb as, T2 at fucking 17 or Heat in the 20s. It's fucking weird, man. It's fucking weird. Because if you include the good and bad, the ugly, I have to ask where, some of the other brilliant westerns are. They're really because this isn't a list of the best westerns. The Good Man, the Ugly is one of the best films ever made. What do you want me to say? It's fucking gorgeous. Superb. The music, the characters. You want to talk about villains? The movie's secretly a film about three fucking villains. You know? It's so good. Angel Eyes, though. The bad? Love him. At 15, we have Hard Boiled. I'm trying to keep my mood in check. I don't want my attitude to go sour. But Hard Boiled's my number one. It's ironic that Hong Kong director John Woo is so often associated with doves. When it comes to violence, he's most certainly a hawk. Oh my god, is this the caliber of writing here? Is this the caliber of writing? I read a sentence and it's fucking, oh my, it's cringe. An explosive showcase of oft imitated techniques whose influence reverberated around the world, including gratuitous slow mo and leaping through the air with guns blazing in both hands. When John Woo does it, the doves mean something. They're symbolic. The slow mo means something. It's visually symbolic. Guns blazing, it's all fucking symbolic, you know? It's such a complex, complicated film. There are a couple different ways to view the doves, right? Because they're normally flying away before the action starts. You can say that they represent a sort of purity or at least spirituality, the spirit of the characters, even though they're about to just slaughter a bunch of people. They could even represent peace leaving the genre, peace leaving the character so that he can do what needs to be done. And slow-mo. John Woo is a hyperkinetic filmmaker. When you slow it down, we get to see the actual beauty of the choreography itself and the brutality within the moment when it's slowed. We get to see the soul of ballistic gunfights. It's crazy. Hard Boiled was the last of the movies Woo made before Hollywood wooed him. We're just doing puns now on Woo's name? Last movie Woo made before they wooed him? Is that seriously what the fuck we're doing, Variety? I thought that Variety had good writers working for them. I thought you had to go to college for a bunch of fucking years to work at for an outlet for a rag like this. Wow. To direct the likes of John Travolta and Nicolas Cage in the outrageously over the top but shamelessly enjoyable Face Off. Face Off is great. Face Off should have been on this list. Here, Chow Yun-fat and Tony Leung's characters spend the first hour trying to kill one another until they realize they're both working for the same side. Considering the movie's very bloody body count, it's either perfect or perverse that the finale happens in a hospital. Yeah, let's not extend any fucking thinking to it. Variety. Let's not hurt our brains by just thinking slightly about, what's like the metaphor here? What's the symbolic relevance? What's the meaning of using the hospital to host the bloodiest shootout in cinematic history with the highest body count? Let's not think too much about that. No, no. Let's just say it's either perfect or perverse. Why not both? And then explain perfection and perversity for me. That's so fucking. Oh my god. Is that what every blurb has been like? This this list is turning to brain rot very quickly. This movie should have been number one. Tyone Fat, Tony Leung were superb, and Mad Dog is one of the henchmen, one of the villains in it, and he's like, oh my god, he's a fucking animal, bro. He's so good. He's amazing. I think it defeats. I think it kills. It shoots the action genre itself in the head. Like you are exhausted at the end of it. It exhausts every avenue, every component, every quality within the action genre. It completely exhausts it. It is the most completed action film. It's the most whole, it's the most legendary, it's the most robust. It's the loudest, it's the meanest, it's the sharpest and the most stylish. It's the best. It's the best action film ever made. And John Woo, I think, is the action master. I don't think there's a better director of action, a better genre director of action than John Woo. Hard Boiled should have been number one, and I'm actually upset that it's 15. Once again, I know that it's high, but Hard Boiled is a film of the highest possible quality when we're talking about action. There are even like postmodern qualities to consider. Like I'm saying, it effectively took the genre and put 500 bullets in its face in slow mo with doves and looked really cool. It was fucking doing it. It punished the action genre by celebrating it ferociously. Because action has a lot of problematic consequences or things to infer from the frameworks itself. And I think Hard Boiled deliberately takes every single quality, good or bad, of the action genre to task and has a beautiful kind of poetic, symbolic shootout. And the action genre dies within Hard Boiled. It's an exhausting film. It took us to the very end of the genre's limitations and then went further, effectively murdering it. It's a fascinating film. It's. I'll move on. I feel like I've been on Hard Boiled for a while, but it deserves to be talked about. I love the film. Like it's fucking perfect and flawless, and I love it. Anyway, The Adventures of Robin Hood, the Errol Flynn film at 14, above Hard Boiled. Variety, you are so unserious. I do like Kill Bill Volume. I like that we split them up. I like that it's Kill Bill Volume 1. I love Volume 1. It's an excellent film. It's one of my favorites. I have no issue with it being at 13. I think it's amazing. I think that Lucy Liu is the most captivating villain of both Kill Bill films. Like Bill to me is very boring when compared to Lucy Liu, who has such a cool anime introduction. She has a wonderful sword fight, just a wonderful line, silly rabbit, right? And I think that like just the cinematic image of Uma versus Lucy Liu, or the bride and Oren Ishii battling with snow around, or like, but she has to fight through all of her army of henchmen to get to her. Like it's perfectly composed and structured. The narrative system of Kill Bill, especially Volume 1, is one of the most impressive things that Tarantino's ever pulled off. And I talked about henchmen being incredibly important before. Fucking Go-Go, right? She's so cool. She's fucking coolest. And Tarantino, I think, loves action movies primarily for the same reasons I do, for those moments between villain and hero, and those I mean, like we clamor for those moments. I hold those moments very dear to my heart. Those are moments of eternity for me. Like Highlander is another film that I love, another action movie that I love. And while I do love the big sword fight at the end, what makes it so cool is the fact that they had like what, two discussions before, or maybe just one true discussion at a church, the Kurgan and Highlander. Like I love the moments where they talk to each other beforehand, and then the action has to deliver upon the promise of the dynamic of the dialogue. And Tarantino, it's just so good at composition, so good at structure, so good at narrative systems and archetypes that Kill Bill Volume 1, I think, is a masterpiece. It's fucking beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful fucking film. The music is incredible. My God, dude. Wow. Wow, it's so the bride is such a cool hero, right? I love seeing her. I love seeing her. And at 12, we have Goldfinger. I like Goldfinger. I don't object to Goldfinger being high on a list. I object to Goldfinger being better than Hard Boiled and Kill Bill because it's not. Goldfinger is very good. All right, but get serious, man. Like get out of here. Speed is better than Hard Boiled and Kill Bill. Speed. I like Speed. All right. Speed's okay. It's fun. Great premise, right? Adrenaline, nonstop. Uh, Dennis Hopper to me is kind of underwhelming in the film, but that's fine. The chemistry between Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock, mwah, that's the best part of the movie. Like fuck all of the like nonstop adrenaline of the piece. The chemistry between Keanu and Sandra was just, ooh, I love that. I love that shit. But I don't know. I think the best part of an action movie shouldn't be like the chemistry between the guy and the girl. I think the best part of the action movie should be the action, personally. If you were talking about romantic comedies or romance films, I would have to say different things, right? But speed's okay. It's okay. It's not one of the I'd be okay with speed somewhere in like the 40 to 50 section, like near the beginning of this list, right? Like where we started. I'm not really that comfortable with it at 11. Bullet. Okay, boomer. What? Dude, fuck you. Judging by how beloved it is, it might be genuinely. I'm being genuine. It might be the most overrated film ever made. Akira Kurosawa, I'm not impressed by anything he's ever done. Oh, Aliens. Cool. I love Aliens. N- No, no complaints. Whatever. I guess Aliens. Fine. I love Aliens. It's good. Nothing to say, dude. I love it. It's fucking great. The Matrix is okay. I think The Matrix is overrated, honestly. Uh, but remember, it's only overrated because people say it completely revolutionized cinema itself. Like let's calm down there. Let's take a step back and really assess the situation. The Matrix is a good film. It's not one of the greatest of all time. It is good. I'm not particularly invested in it. I found The Agent underwhelming, and I thought that Keanu Reeves was not very engaging. Trinity, loved her, loved her. It'd be nicer if every character felt that charismatic or even fleshed out at all. You know, I didn't like the dynamics between a lot of the characters either. I suppose I have a problem with like with the characters within the film. I think it's a wonderfully made one. Like it's a technically close to brilliant movie, but I don't think it's saying a whole lot at the same time. I think that its statements are mostly empty, or if they're not empty, I just find them boring. French Connection, overrated movie. Overrated. William Friedkin, I like him. I'm not gonna speak ill of him. I like him. But I think To Live and Die in LA is my favorite of his films. That's his masterpiece, To Live and Die in LA. That's so good. I like Killer Joe a lot too. Sorcerer is all right, but like Films like The French Connection and The Exorcist, I have a lot of issues with actually. I find them both to be very overrated. Enter the Dragon's excellent. I love Enter the Dragon. It's fucking great. Enter the Dragon is so much fun and God, it's a wild ride. I love it. Bruce Lee fucking rules, man. And so does John Saxon, right? He was awesome in that film. You know what? That I would like to see 36th Chamber of Shaolin here. I loved that movie. That movie was really cool. That would have been cool. Raiders of the Lost Ark at number 4. I'm over Indiana Jones, to be honest. I'm an idiot though. The one I like most is Temple of Doom, or that's like the only one I still like. I guess Last Crusade's okay, but there's nothing in them for me. I've said this a lot and I'm sick of saying it, but Spielberg is constantly brought up as like the very best of everything. There's not a single Spielberg film outside of The Fablemans, right? There's not a single Spielberg film that I saw for the first time as an adult that I love. Every single Spielberg film that means something to me was introduced to me when I was a child, almost like I was indoctrinated with it. You know, I think his film is made for children. I think his filmic language, his grammar, his filmic vocabulary is that of a fucking infant. I don't think his films are very complex. I don't think they're interesting. I think Raiders of the Lost Ark, like, come on, man, compare it to Hard Boiled, compare it to Die Hard, compare it to Kill Bill 2, compare it to The Killer, compare it to like a really fucking good action movie, and there's nothing there. There's nothing there. It's baby food. Like it is a children's movie, right? Like it is made for children. I it's like to me, Raiders of the Lost Ark at number 4 on a list of the best action movies, a genre that I feel is like pretty brutal, pretty awesome, a lot of swearing, a good amount of blood, some heads being blown off, that kind of shit. Villains laughing maniacally while they torture people. Uh I think that Raiders of the Lost Ark being at number 4 on a list of the best action movies is similar to if it was like the best horror movies ever made and Beetlejuice was at number 4. You're like, yeah, it's good. It's good, but it's a sandwich between the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Dawn of the Dead. Like, what are we doing? Why are we playing with this right now? Leave the toys in the toy chest, bro. No, excuse me? One of Hitchcock's most overrated films at number 3. Okay, I went into doing this list thinking I won't be saying anything controversial. Not too many hot takes, and people get upset with me for my controversial opinions sometimes. I'm like, action movies, that'll be fun. Fucking talk about John McClane and fucking Arnie, bro. Like, have fun. Talk about Rocky a little bit. No, no. North by Northwest the most is one of the most overrated films Hitchcock ever made. It appearing at number 3 is just an empty gesture. Look, Hitchcock isn't gonna fuck you, bro. Like you don't have to keep putting his movies on all the lists in the world. You don't have to keep doing that, bro. He's oh my god. Come on. Number 2, Die Hard. Finally, I can fucking breathe again. John McTiernan rules, okay? I can breathe. I love Die Hard. Die Hard's a masterpiece. I I think though, I think at this point, my favorite Die Hard film is Die Hard with a Vengeance. I love that movie. I think it's just wonderfully composed. The narrative system is beautiful. The action sequences are just, oh my God, refreshing and exhilarating, fucking inventive and just jaw-droppingly cool. Die Hard with a Vengeance is amazing. And Jeremy Irons, I think, is such a perfect villain. But if we're talking about perfect villains, Simon Gruber's brother Hans, very good. I love Die Hard. It's excellent. It's an excellent film. I think it does deserve to be at number two on a list of the greatest action movies ever. All right, I do. I do. I just personally think that Die Hard with a Vengeance is superior in a lot of different ways. The more that I think about it, I love Die Hard with a Vengeance. That Die Hard with a Vengeance is a top 10 favorite action movie for me personally. I have a video about Die Hard with a Vengeance. It's a very old video. I don't know how much of it I agree with now, but what? I don't give a fuck. I probably say that it's perfect because Die Hard with a Vengeance is, and Die Hard 1, it deserves all the love it gets. Die Hard 1, none of the Die Hard movies are overrated. You know, Die Hard and Die Hard with a Vengeance and even Die Hard 2 are all very good. Die Hard with a Vengeance, I think, is a masterpiece. But, you know, Die Hard is pretty fucking, you know, it's amazing in its own way, too. Die Hard 1, not overrated, completely deserves to be very, very high on any list. Any list. Number one, what are we gonna get for number one? What's gonna be number one then? Am I missing like a big Arnold movie, you know? Or a big Stallone movie? Like, will it be Rocky? Will it be Rocky? I wouldn't complain if it was Rocky. It'd be fine. I think it'd be a little safe, but Rocky does qualify as an action film, and I do like it. What else could it be though? Like, I'm trying to think. Better not be a cheat. It better not be a Lord of the Rings. All right, get that. If that is it, I'm ending the video immediately. The fuck. Or don't be the Dark Knight. Since you included Heat, you could include the Dark Knight. You could do that. But the Dark Knight, I don't think belongs here. The Dark Knight, I think, is a good film, by the way. But to be at number one would fucking piss me off. That would be dumb as fuck. And so would any of the Marvel movies, but I don't think Variety would do that based on their list so far. What would be number one, bro? What are we? John Wick? Would they really put John Wick at number one? It's kind of newer. It's kind of newer. Would they do John Wick? I don't hate John Wick. I've only seen the first two. I thought both of them were fine. The first one I thought was better than the second one. I I liked it. I liked it. They might do John Wick, or I'm missing something incredibly obvious. I don't know. Are you guys ready? Okay, yeah, dude. Yes. Yes. Praise the fucking gods. I love you, Variety. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I thought since we got Fury Road, we weren't gonna get the Road Warrior, and I was silently seething. Remember earlier I said the Road Warrior is one of my absolute favorite action movies. Yes, thank you, Variety. Thank you, Variety. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Put these other films in their place. That is so good. That's fine. That's fine. You see, I would have loved the top three being the Road Warrior. Um, I would have loved a top three, or I think even my top three, right, would be Hard Boiled. Uh, the oh, this is hard variety. I get it now. It'd be Hard Boiled, Kill Bill, um, The Road Warrior, Die Hard with a Vengeance, and I don't know, The Wild Bunch. It sounds like a pretty solid top five. That's my top five for the record. Taking that to the grave, or maybe instead of The Wild Bunch, Terminator 2. But taking that to the grave. I like how I said taking that to the grave, and then I immediately go back and like backpedal and change it. So don't take anything I say seriously. The grave doesn't even take me seriously. The Road Warrior's amazing. In 1979, George Miller's Mad Max was a Hell's Angel movie gone psychotic. It was made on a drive-in film budget, but became such a global phenomenon that Miller was able to transform the sequel into something vastly bigger, more scary, cool, more grandly nihilistic. Oh, they even got a good writer to write this blurb. One of the great dystopian spectacles, The Road Warrior, presents the vision of a civilization reduced to patched together cars and cutthroat survival. The film's scrappy kinesthetic genius is that it incarnates, cool, the very godlessness of that world by turning it into an existential demolition derby. I think that's a very important sentence. The very godlessness of that world by turning it into an existential demolition derby. That's perfectly stated by Variety. Like that's actually beautifully expressed because that's what that film is. Oh my God, that's accurate. The Road Warrior's amazing. Love that movie. Well, that's my video. Take it or leave it. I hope you had some fun. I hope there was some insight along the way. Maybe a few laughs. Maybe you gasped because I said something fucking dumb and stupid and like aggressive. Or maybe I said something like sweet and smart, you know? Maybe it's a little bit of both. That's what I think this channel has ultimately become. But thank you for watching this video. I love action movies. Maybe I should talk some more about action movies, but my heart will always belong to teen film and television. Better tropes, better characters, better storylines, better narrative systems, and simply better art. Better art. None of those movies are as good as 16 Candles. Thank you for watching me.